Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Mitra Ahani on the line, and she's founder and CEO over at Thrive Therapy and Social Center. Mitra, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Adam. I'm happy to be here.
So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about value-based leadership, and we're going to go a little bit into your journey and what it took for you to grow your business. But before we do, I'd like to go just a little bit further into Thrive Therapy and Social Center. So tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
I'd love to. Thrive Therapy has been a mission of mine and is a culmination of dreaming over 20 years of what we could provide families that have a child with autism. I joined this journey 20 years ago when my niece was diagnosed, and I worked in all of the best schools the Bay Area had, and they were doing amazing things, but I still felt that there was something missing. A place for our kids to go where they were celebrated for who they are, and also to help them and guide them and encourage them to build skills that would improve their lives daily. We wanted to have fun. We wanted joy to be part of therapy. We wanted to make sure that our kids were a huge part of the process of their journey of learning, and we were there to guide them, and making sure that we also encourage them to enjoy their childhood in the process, that we can't go back and redo childhood. So we wanted to make sure that we opened up a place where families felt good bringing their children, kids were excited to come and learn, and our staff would have equal share in that excitement.
No, that's amazing. And so there's a lot of people, entrepreneurs out there that, have ideas and they wanna start something. What was that tipping point for you, or what kind of drove you to overall to start Thrive Therapy and Social Center? So what was that moment that you're like, I have to do this?
Great question. Like I said, I worked in all of these wonderful schools, but I knew, because I am an aunt of a niece with autism, that when they went home, it wasn't necessarily as much fun as I would like it to have been. And I kept looking for that place where when I walked in, everybody was excited. We were, having a good time and also teaching kids, and I searched high and low and came to the realization that if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to happen. And
wow.
It was, when we first designed the space, it was really, people came in and said, can you do this? We didn't do individual therapy rooms. We took time designing it. We thought about what somebody with autism would like. They don't like bright lights, a lot of them, so we made sure to diffuse the lighting. We wanted it to be pretty. We wanted them to be excited to come, because learning is actually quite exciting. And so I opened the doors with literally myself as the speech therapist. I had an assistant with me, an occupational therapist, and a front desk, and about 4 clients, and they loved it. And 4 clients turned into 50 clients, turned into 60 clients, 4 staff turned into 20 staff, 30 staff, 40 staff, and so we're in about year 7 now, and I think we're at about 200 kids and around 70 staff, and they're excited to come. Actually, the problem we had was getting the kids to leave, which is a great problem. I had to buy a treasure chest full of little keepsake toys that they could take home with them. And so we knew right away that the model was going to work. We were in 6,000 square feet. We filled up pretty fast and moved into 10,000 square feet about a year and a half before COVID visited us. Changed our model for the time being. But
of course.
And that's been a very important journey as well. It's shown us how important our work is, that we're essential. And I have a team of people that stood up when the entire world stopped. I mean, really wanted to know how we could help, how we could get into the homes, what we could do. So it's been unbelievable to work with the people that I've gotten to work with, too. I just feel so lucky every day.
First off, that's a great story. I'm sitting here, I get goosebumps. I'm like, wow, this is like to build something and to see people come and to make the differences that you're doing in the lives of not just the children, of course, but the families just in general, and like the ongoing benefit of what this looks like. I mean, it's just remarkable. So what are some of those, if there's a thing or some of those things that just surprised you most on this journey so far?
Yes. When I built Thrive, when we started it, I was very lucky in that an insurance mandate had gone through right before we opened. And I had said to myself, I knew that the kids needed it, so we were going to do this no matter what. And the insurance mandate actually went through, and we were able to be funded through insurance companies. This was huge because now we had families from all walks of life getting the same level of service. So this was just a beautiful way to see families that looked like me and grew up like I did as immigrants. And it was just so powerful to see that we could serve everybody the same. It was wonderful. And the second surprise for me, when I built it, I really thought more about the families than anybody. And what's happened in the last 7 years is that we've been able to give scholarships to some of our staff so they can pursue their education, stay with us, become leads. My current lead is started off as an entry level and has been with us basically since the beginning. And the joy I get to see my staff set themselves up with education, become these amazing therapists. They don't always stay forever, of course, as much as I'd like to, but I also know that as they go out, they see there is this alternative way to provide therapy where joy is the heart of what we do, and having fun isn't an option. Having fun and learning, these things do go hand in hand. And it's just been amazing to keep in touch with these guys as they go to other places and come back and say, hey, I'm really working on making sure that everybody understands there's this whole other way, or kept in touch with a lot of people that have moved, and they are always looking for a place like Thrive to work. That surprised me because, and I suppose it shouldn't have, because my heart was always in it to make sure we were providing the greatest quality and really caring about families and making sure we could do as much as we could, and that was my focus. And then all of a sudden I met these incredible people that were willing to join this team, and with this crazy leader that was like, we're going to shake things up. And a lot of people walked out of interviews when I said, look, I want to shake things up in the field. And I appreciate their honesty in walking out and saying, I'm not ready for that. But I found people that were, and it's just been, amazing to see that growth in my staff as well. And again, I feel such a small part of it at this point. When we built our core values and put together our culture and what mattered to us, we did that as a group. When we have situations where we have to come up with solutions, we always go back to our core values. We go back to why we're here, and we solve problems from that place. And I've just been blown away by the caliber of people I've been able to work with.
Wow. What a story. I love it. It's like one of those heartwarming stories that just make you feel all good inside. Mitra, I feel all good inside. So thank you for that. I hope my audience does too right now. So, so obviously great success. I mean, you helped a lot of people. Where do you go next from here? Like what's next for the business, for you? I mean, obviously you're on a roll, but what's next? Where do you go from here?
It's a great question. We'll continue to grow. I learned a lot through COVID. I always said it's really easy to be a great leader when everything's going your way and your staff and families are happy. Once COVID came along, obviously everything changed. We couldn't go to the center. In fact, we still are not in our center. We're doing home-based and teletherapy for our kids. Mm-hmm. Next up is a very interesting question. I think I would love to see a program like this for adults as the second Thrive step. So as the ABA and the education and those things, at 22, generally these things can kind of fall off a cliff, insurance funding or school district support. And so I would like ultimately, my dream goal in the end is to have a program where we have a space for when all of those services end, and we can have our adults be together and have a productive life and have a good time and be able to enjoy life like the rest of us. A camp of sorts, I've been dreaming up things for a long time, but at the moment I think we'll continue to serve the families we're serving and grow and make sure that as we grow we continue to keep the high quality, never sacrifice that in the name of growth. That's been big for us. And right now, I think for the most part, I'm more of a day by day. I think if you would have asked me in 2019, I may have had a clearer picture of where we want to go. But right now, I want to make sure everybody's safe. I want to make sure they know how appreciated they are and how much respect I have for the work that they're doing through these really crazy times.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you. So I love to hear the story. And so, final question. So there's some people that are maybe not as far along on their journey as you in terms of entrepreneurship. And, they're just launching an idea. They have some things that they want to do, and they're really just starting to get started. What kind of advice, like if you could go back and talk to that Mitra that was just starting out again, like what kind of advice would you have given her that maybe now with the benefit of hindsight, right? And just so that, some of the people listening can benefit from that wisdom, because we all learn through the bumps and bruises and the ups and downs as time goes on. So what kind of advice would you give that Mitra that was just getting started?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say don't be scared. I think being very connected to my why I was opening this and why this was so important to me, and making sure that it was the work I wanted to do daily. I was never a good student. I am an immigrant woman. A lot of these meetings I have are male-dominated. And I think the key is to know that leadership, success, CEOs, founders, there's no one person that fits that mold. I'm not somebody that is great particularly with, finance, for example, but I can hire out for that. What I was always good at was caring about people and caring about how people felt and trying to make sure that everybody's experience was a positive one. This isn't something that was celebrated through my life. Through my life, I was considered very emotional and sensitive. and I don't know, in some ways I think I was admonished for that growing up, but now being in this position as a leader, I think those are some of my strongest skills. And these weren't things, again, that people said, wow, you're so sensitive, you're so empathetic, you'd make a great leader. It was quite the opposite, actually. Nevertheless, I held true to who I was because, quite frankly, I couldn't possibly live my life any other way. I tried, and that never worked. And so I think being really honest with yourself about why you're doing something. Thrive has been very successful financially and, in growth, but it was never my goal to be the biggest or to make the most, or it was my goal to shake up the way things were being done, that we didn't have to take a 5-year-old kid and sit him in a room and try to teach him things. We could actually engage in play, we could connect, and we could have fun. And I knew when families saw that their child was happy to come and that their child was being respected as the individual they were, that we would be successful. But these are all very nuanced definitions of success, right? So if I would have written down my plan and said, okay, Mitra, you're going to make X amount and you're going to have this many staff, that wouldn't have motivated me the way I wanted to prove that our kids could learn in a way that was fun and engaging. So for me, I would say always go back to your why. And if your why sticks, don't worry so much about the how. And it's easy for me to say that now. I cried a lot. I was scared a lot, probably the first 2 or 3 years. But I knew just by the reaction I was getting that this was a space that was needed in this world, and we were going to make it work. And listen, I got a lot of help. This wasn't me just saying, I'm going to do this. My husband helped, and his family helped, and my family helped, and obviously everyone that worked with us and all of my friends who've been along the ride with me for 20 years. I've been very passionate about autism advocacy and fundraising and everything else. It was a lot of people helping and allowing them to help, right? Being able to call them with questions and I guess believing in myself, which, to be honest, has always been the hardest part. Even as I sit here today, wondering why I'm the one having this conversation when I could really give you to, a number of my staff that would give you probably a better interview.
Absolutely not. That's nonsense, number one. And I think what's amazing is that your empathy and sensitivity ended up being your superpower. Can you think of another business to where you have to be in tune to your clientele, which are these kids, and to be that highly in tune in how they're experiencing just being there, and your staff, and to understand how everybody's interacting. Somebody with a less developed sense of those traits wouldn't be able to pull off what you're doing. It's not just a business model. It's not just, here's a business plan. Here, this is how you do this. You can't do it like that. Does it work like that? You had to design it, and I think a lot of that just came from you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I will try to hear it and absorb it. That is my.
No, you won't. You already said this guy doesn't know. I already know you. We just met, and I already know. No, you won't. But it's my hope that you will. That's all. So, Mitra, first off, it's been awesome having you on the show today. If somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about Thrive Therapy and Social Center, or just to follow your work in general, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect with you and your team?
They can look us up online and email us at thriveautismcenter.com. Our emails are there, or they can email me directly, Mitra, M-I-T-R-A, at thriveautismcenter.com.
Fantastic. Well, Mitra, again, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today, and really happy about the work you're doing, and congrats again. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value about this, and I hope you had fun listening. If you're a first-time listener, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. But more importantly, on the YouTube channel, leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Mitra, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.